Welcome back to the Southside Kōrero. My name is Vincent Vitalino, and last week we had an amazing episode. We had an awesome personality who's my cousin as well, Jason Suttie. We talked about a lot about kickboxing and what got him into kickboxing. He was troubled, and he was quite an angry person, but what kickboxing did for him was transformed his life, became a professional, and then afterwards he started to do other things in life. So most roads lead to different things, and it led Jason to kickboxing and to doing greater things. So I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Kia ora.
My name's Jason Suttie. I'm born in New Zealand. My mum's Samoan from, we're from Lepere and Salaia, Avao and Savai. Lepere and Apia. My dad's born in New Zealand, English, Scottish background. That's me.
Yeah, and just to clarify, we're family, we're cousins, and the first time I heard about you was watching a K1 boxing match, and it was the semifinals. I forgot who you were facing. I think you were facing an Australian. And then my brother comes up to me, and when I'm watching it, this is like when it used to be on TV2. It was like late at night, 11 o'clock, and I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing that late? and my brother goes, that's your cousin over there. And I go, excuse me? I like him. And he goes, yeah, he's your cousin. And I was just like, wow. And I followed you throughout the end, throughout the ends of the world with your career until your retirement. So
yeah, I remember fighting, because I planned to have a child at 30, and then at 35 my daughter, she had no idea, because she had to go to sleep. She was 5 years old, she had to go to sleep, and I took her to school one day, and these older kids, they must have been 10, 11, and they started talking about, hey look, they were pointing at me going, there's Jason Suttie, because there was a tournament on TV on Friday or Saturday night, and so that would have been about 10 o'clock, but they must have watched it. So she's never watched it because she was always in bed, and she just put her hand on me and she goes, Daddy, the seniors are talking about you. And she put her hand on me, and that was my goal, to keep fighting while she was at school so she could understand that and be proud of her daddy for something. And so I did it. And shortly after that, I retired. I was 35 and she was 5, yeah.
Wow.
But so, like you didn't know why you were up that late, because I knew... Yeah, so she got it because other kids were talking about me, because she was too young and she was in bed, but then she got it. Yeah.
See, I used to grow up to where Uncle Tia used to watch boxing. So it used to be like WBC stuff used to come up late at night. So one of the big ones that I remember was Frank Bruno versus Mike Tyson, and that's what got me into the contact sports and like kickboxing and whatnot. And then I started watching from there. Sorry, I completely derailed the conversation.
No, that's all good. That's all good. I understand. So that's your introduction, Frank Bruno and Mike Tyson, into the fight world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was like, yeah, Mike Tyson is a monster, and then I followed from there. What was your entry into kickboxing? Because most of our viewers would be watching it because we know you from kickboxing,
okay,
King of the Ring, and promotions and whatnot. My
entry into kickboxing is a long story, but I had a bad temper. And I used to fight a lot. I was a half-caste Samoan, and I used to get pissed off at the Samoans calling me Palangi, because I thought that it was something, or just the way that they said it. I thought in those days that when they called me Palangi, that they were calling me weak because I was half white. So I fought with them, and then the Europeans and the Māoris would say, get out of their country. So then I fought with them. But so growing up from, 10 to 15, 16, I had a real bad temper, and I was a little bit smaller someone, so I can say it now, I was scared. So I had to prove to them that I wasn't scared, so I always fought. But then there were these kickboxers in the street that were started having street fights, and people started talking about it. And I thought, okay, kickboxing, damn, okay, I'm going to probably come across them one day. I better go learn from the mother source. So I thought I'll go to Thailand. And then there was this scholarship that was available. It was American Field Scholarship, where you applied for it. But then I applied for Thailand. I applied for Thailand for a few reasons. I heard that it was cheap, so it wouldn't be much money for my parents to send over for me to survive over there. I get to make my parents happy that I got on a scholarship. And the underlying reason, I get to go and train Thai boxing so that if I meet these guys in the street, I can handle them. Anyway, everything changed. I'd had a lot of fights in school, at socials, whatever, up to that stage. And then I went to Thailand, and I was the first person in this organization that had a real fight. I fought a Thai over there. And so when you fight in New Zealand, kickboxing, then the goal was, before you retire, you want to fight a Thai. But because I'd had so many street fights, I didn't really understand that. And I started in Thailand, and they're like, oh, do you want to fight? I said, yeah. They said, yeah, this guy's only had about 30 fights. Professional fight is... so amateur fights usually start 3 2-minute rounds. Am I talking too much? Should I carry on?
No, keep going.
Professional fight, 5 3-minute rounds with knees to the head, elbows, kicks to the head, like full, right? So... they told me, yeah, you got this fight, and there was these banners all over my town. My town was about 1 million people then. I think it's about 1.5, 1.8 now. As Urontani, right on the north, was just banners all over the town. Jason Suttie from New Zealand is fighting, what was his name? Was it Manunchai? And he hadn't had many fights. So he'd had about 30 fights, but because he was 72 kilograms, that was quite big for a Thai. So there wasn't a lot of competition for him. So my trainer was like, oh, don't worry, he's only had about 30 fights. And it was my first fight. Anyway, so I fought him. I went 5 rounds, and I lost. I lost on points. Me and my trainer, because he gambled on me. He was a physical education trainer in a tech for adults. But in his free time in the morning and night, which I went to, you do 10Ks and you do kicks and pads in the morning. In the morning and night, outside of his job, he used to teach the poor people. I was the oldest. I was the oldest in the gym. I was 17, the oldest, the biggest, 72 kilograms. Oh, well, I started at 95, and in 6 weeks I got to 75. Whoa. Yeah, man, it's amazing. And there was this fighter, he was about 13. He was like really famous. He'd had about 30 fights in my gym. So my trainer was going to gamble his month's salary on me. And after the fight, I lost the fight. I lost some points, which was a really, really good effort. We're sitting in this noodle shop on the street, which I encourage people to go and eat on the street. And we're looking at this air-conditioned restaurant across the road, and he goes, oh, I was going to take you there, but I lost. So we're eating here. So instead of spending $100 on a meal, we spent $10 on a meal. Oh, well, yeah, maybe $5 on a meal. But that was my entry into it. And how big it was, and this organization, they realized that, holy cow, this is really dangerous. So they banned anyone fighting again. I haven't caught up with the organization, so I don't know if that's... I'm pretty sure that'll be the rule, because it's pretty dangerous to put a student in there fighting full Thai, for your first fight. Someone's had 30 fights. Yeah, so when I came back, I went straight to Balmoral. I had a train with Sam Masters, but that was too far away from me. That was in town. Then I went to Lolo Heimuli, Balmoral Liga, and I trained there. And then in that first year, I had 10 amateur fights. I got a New Zealand title, two South Pacific titles. I went to Australia. Outside of Australia and Thailand, I had never, ever been anywhere. All I'd been to, because I had a Balangi dad, he used to take us to Taupo a lot, Taupo Rotorua fishing, and that was an experience that none of my cousins had. But man, when I got flown to Australia as an amateur in my 9th or 10th fight, I was like, boom, this is it. All you gotta do is fight. You get free airfare, free food. It was awesome. So that was me hooked. So after my first year, then I went pro, and that was it, man. Like I was hooked.
Damn. How was it? As you know, I'm going to get this question as a fan out of the way. How was it like fighting for the K1 promotion? Because like, I remember when it was huge, it was hot, like in the early 2000s. It was a thing to watch, and a lot of my mates when I was in primary, I was like 11, 12-year-old. And a lot of my boys who I would hang out go, oh yeah man, I'm watching, like staying up late watching K1, and it's pretty cool. You should have it a try video. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it a watch. I was skeptical because I was a pound for pound watching boxing, WBC, WBO stuff. You know, I was like, oh shit, yeah, I live in Holyfield. But how was it like being in K1?
That was something different, man. Like, so I had 10 fights, 10 amateur fights. And my second year, so that was my second year, which would mean since I did my scholarship in 7th form in Thailand, I had 1 fight there. My second year back in New Zealand, I had 10 amateur fights. My third year, I turned pro, and I'd had heaps of fights. I fought in Hong Kong. I'd fought like a he was a Thai champion. In Thailand, I'd had 2 fights, professional fights with him. In Hong Kong, with me, Ray, Eddie Tongalahi, all the big boys over there. I had other professional fights. I did in Australia, in Hong Kong, and then the K1 came out. But the K1, and I can say, before I was on TV, it was just no one knew about us. To be honest, no one knew about us. I used to, no one knew about us, and you didn't really feel like you were unknown. Whereas then you'd see your mates that you grew up with, so for me, one of them was Stacey Jones, and then he started playing league, and I'd fought world champions. I'd had a world title by then. Yeah, I'd had world titles by then, and he was really famous, and we were known. We were nothing. We were unknown. But then the K1 came along, and we became famous. And then you go out into bars, into restaurants, into pools, and they'd say, "Hey, you just said it to you. Oh, yeah. What do you want?" And they'd just give it to you free, and it was a massive privilege to me. And at first, when we first started on TV, it's all about fighting. People would come up to me and say, "Hey, oh, you just Suttie? Oh, yeah," and just Islanders, and they'd give you a little jab in the stomach and say, "Oh, yeah, you doing? I think on TV, you want to spar? Can I come and spar you?" And I used to get so pissed off. I don't think some of them. My dad said, some of them, I'd say, "Yeah, you want to spar? Let's go outside right now." Because I used to think, who the fuck are you to want to spar me when I've been doing this for fucking 10 years, and you just, and okay, so that was at the start, but as we became more and more on TV, honestly, even those Islanders, the ones, just the horsey drunk ones, the minority, even those Islanders started to respect me. Even they started to be nice to me, because I think the more and more it came on TV, the more and more they realized, oh shit, this stuff for real. They're not just some rugby player on TV, they really are fighting. Maybe we better, so it was nice. It was nice because we got the recognition from the country. There was one time, and I always tell this story because this is my biggest, this is probably one of the biggest times that I felt really, when I felt known and appreciated. I was in Hamner Springs in this hot pool. And there was there must have been the All Blacks playing the night before, and this old fella, probably like my dad, European guy, come up and he goes to me, "Hey," because I was pretty big, I was 100 kilograms, and he goes, "Oh, you watching the rugby?" I go, "No, who's playing?" He goes, "Oh, the All Blacks are playing. What? He was so shocked that I didn't know that the All Blacks were playing. And he goes, why? What do you do? I said, kickboxing. And he goes, Jason Suttie. I know Jason Suttie. He was saying it to me because he knew kickboxing and Jason Suttie, but he didn't know that I was Jason Suttie. And I go, oh yeah, that's me. And he goes, oh, that's you. Oh, you come tomorrow and I'll get you in free. And it was awesome. So for me, because he was someone way out of the box that you would think was watching kickboxing. So that was probably my biggest gratifying feeling. Is that how you say? That I got from the sport. And it was the power of TV. And I can say from the power of TV, when I retired, my goal was to get my sport back on TV, to give these young fellas the privilege that I got from being recognized by the wider public. And it's working, you know. Like just the other night, actually, there was a young fella, King of the Ring 2 weeks ago. There was a young fella, and he goes, man, my phone was going all night, because he fought on TV and he had a great fight. It was my fight of the night. It was this guy, Cody Sione and Pong from North Shore. That was my fight of the night. Anyway, he was going to me, yeah, man, my phone was going all night, and my followers has gone up so much this morning. And so that was my goal, to put our sport on TV, to give them the privilege of TV, of just people knowing that we got some good kickboxers in this country.
Oh, absolutely. And when I hear about that, when I like the publisher of the King of the Ring, the only thing I know that is nowhere near as for kickboxing will be like something like UFC, like that, and you don't often hear kickboxing as much as like the early 2000s, because I still remember those days, and then. You think of even further like Pride, and then you go from Pride, and then from Pancras as well. I have a story that I remember that my brother Michael shared, and it was a fight that he had, and he was at I think him and his partner were at ringside, and then my brother basically went at the back. He got at the back, and he's trying to get through everyone to get to you. I don't know if you remember this, but he's trying to get back to you, and all he kept saying was cuz. And I think you were talking to someone, you were interviewing someone, and I told all this story. And you're getting interviewed, and then he goes, cuz, and he finally breaks through to the front, and you look at him weird, and you go, who's this guy? And then and then he goes, cuz, it's me, Michael. And you looked at him and go, Michael, and then you give him a big hug. I don't know if you remember this. He tells me when the next day he tells me about this. He goes, yeah, I went through the crowd and I gave him a big hug. I didn't care anyone was around him. It was like, yeah, I gave him a hug, and I'm like, wow, that's cool, man.
I can't remember the fight, but I do believe that would have happened, because it doesn't matter where you are, it's still going to remember your family. And and that would have been me, 100%. And that would have been pretty cool for him, but I would have just been me.
Yeah. No, that story's ingrained in my head for so long, because it's just like that, that level of just, he's still family. I'm around these people, and I'm just, first thing is, cuz, big hug.
Yeah, I remember Pride. I fought in Pride.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was the first Kiwi in Pride. Mark Hunt was already in there. He was the man in Pride. But, that was a buzz. That was a buzz, man. Wow. They sent me over 3 airfares, 2 rooms, and it was massive. There was, I don't know, there was 10,000 people. But they, it was a big show. It was the UFC of the time. Yeah. It was in the ring, right? In the ring, yeah. So they said, we're going to put you with a Russian kickboxer that's never fought on the ground before, which was all good. I was training for it. But then when I got there, heaps of people started freaking me out, because ignorance is bliss. If they didn't tell me, I would have done better. But people started telling me, your opponent's really good. He's a Sambo top Russian top team, Sambo champion. He's never lost on the ground. Anyway, I fought him. I got tapped out in the first round. But that was a good buzz. That was a good experience, and I probably would have done better if people didn't tell me how good he was, because then I was hesitant, and hesitation is the devil in the ring, I say. But that's right. It was an experience.
Absolutely. And I must say, it must have been a hell of an experience, because then, you've X amount of years of just professional fighting, and it's a testimony of just how much of that side of your character has exploded. I will talk to people about K1 boxing, and they were like, "Oh, Jason Suttie or Ray Seth will be the first week," because New Zealanders stick by New Zealanders, right? So they only know by the New Zealand fighters. Coming down to like your years to retirement, what was going through your mind when retirement was coming up for you?
Oh man, no, I didn't want to retire, man. At first I heard it. First it was 30, and then I changed it to 35, because I started in Thailand, and Thailand. So I had that ingrained in me. And Thailand is, when you get married, when you have a child, that's time to retire. So I had that mentality in my mind, but I got married young. I had a child at 30, and then I changed that rule of retiring, because I thought I want to fight until my daughter understands who I am, and gets a little bit of a little bit of pride that her daddy did something in the New Zealand sports scene. So I carried on. So then I changed my finish line to 35, and then I was coming up to 35. I changed it to 40. I was going to go to 40, but then I got a hurt neck. I got a prolapse disc in my neck. I couldn't lift my left arm I couldn't lift it, and I couldn't do push-ups. So when I put my guard up, it would get hit away. And I had one fight coming up, and I thought, oh shit, I got to do this fight. It was my old schoolmate, Simi Thai, and we'd had a fight when we were at school. Okay, we had a fight at school. Okay, this is how crazy I was about fighting. And because this fight was coming up, the doctor told me, no, you can't fight. It was the specialist, actually. You can't fight. It's really dangerous. He just told me, I thought I was going to lose my left arm. So I was going to risk it. Okay, that's right. I'm going to take this fight. Because if I pull out of this, it was a K1 fight, main event. If I pull out of this fight, my old schoolmate's going to think it's because I beat you up at school. So I said, no, I can't pull out, Anyway, it was on the radio, and I remember not answering private calls. Kept ringing private call. Oh, damn it! Answered the call. It was a specialist. He goes, Jason, I heard that you're fighting this weekend. I'm telling you right now, I'm adamant. You do not fight. If you get hit in the wrong way, you'll lose everything from your neck down. And that was a shock to me, because I thought I was only going to lose my arm. But it was happening this week. I couldn't pull out. I couldn't let my schoolmate think that I was pulling out, because I was scared of the fight at school 10 years ago. So I took the fight. The first round was horrible. It was crap. I was just so scared. Normally I imagine my entrance to the ring. I imagine my arms up at the end. That's my visualization for the whole 6 weeks. I didn't visualize how I won the fight. I visualized just walking to the ring, the fight happened, and my arms up at the end. Well, I visualized for this fight, I couldn't get it out of my head. I visualized, especially after the specialist rang me in the last week, I visualized fighting, the guy hitting me, and then I was lying flat on the ground, and I'm trying to get up off the ground, but only my head's moving, because he told me you're going to lose everything from your neck down. So that freaked me out. So it was horrible. The first round was horrible. Anyway, he hit me, and I checked my arms and legs. He hit me in the head, and I checked my arms and legs. Boom, and then I knocked him out. Okay, and then I knocked him out. And this is how bad it was. After the fight, I won the fight by knockout, and my dad goes to me, oh, that was all right. And it wasn't your best. Which is cool, he was being honest, but I hadn't told anyone that I was freaking out of fighting because of the risk of paralysis. Anyway, after that, I retired after that. That was pretty hard. Very, very hard, actually. I think I went into depression for a couple of months. Drank a lot, tried to forget things. That was the love of my life, the first love of my life. Maybe, yeah, even before I met my wife. You know, you always got your mother's love, but I would say that was the first love of my life, real love of my life before my wife. And it was just taken away from me, and I didn't know how to deal with it. After about 3 or 6 months of just being depressed, drinking too much, drinking to lose your memory. And what I was trying to do was lose that memory that I was retired. I went and saw a counsellor, and straight away that first session I stopped losing my mind drinking, and everything started slowing down. And I ended up going to her for about a year. And I was pretty good after the first few sessions, but I did like that I was getting back on track. And then by the end of the year, I reckon I was in love with being a teacher, because when I first retired, I didn't want to be a teacher. I just was I had a gym to have a space to train in. But yeah, that was good. That was good. And you know what I heard is that heaps of what she told me is that heaps of sportsmen are like you, are the same, Jace. Everything's your world is the world that you know has come to an end. But that was good. And then I just got into my teaching and being a coach. Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then when I was comfortable at that took about a year. And then my goal was to put our fighters on TV. Then about a year later, boom, they were on TV. So it took me about 2 years, but a year. The reason it took 2 years was the first year I was depressed.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking, because my next question was about ETK, because ETK became, we hear about ETK, and I know my nephew Jordan used to go to ETK. Yeah. You know, I was like tall fella, and I got jealous at him because he outgrew me, and I'm going, what the hell? But he's going to ETK classes, and my next question was like from kickboxing to teaching. What was it like from that change of position? Because now you're teaching those young fellas on how to be a kickboxer like yourself, but then I heard that you're teaching them a little bit more. Would you like to elaborate more?
Okay, so I started ETK in 1999, and then it was really just a space so that I didn't have to work. And I'd have enough to hire the space, have a house, because I used to live in the gym. I love living in the gym. So that I only did 2 classes a day, which paid for the gym, paid for somewhere for me to live. And that was 1999, and it was 2005 I retired, 2005. And then at 2005... Man, okay, so that was hard because I needed to do more classes now, because I wasn't getting that little injection of a few fights. I used to do at least 7 fights a year, so you'd get a little injection of money. But when I retired, oh man, I had to go from 2 classes a day now to 5 classes, five classes a day, some days 6 classes, and that was hard too. So. I actually got an old schoolmate of mine, Jay Puya, who was running some gym. And I said, Jay, man, I've got to get more clients. I've got to build up my and I've got to go out and advertise and tell people. And it was so hard, because when I was fighting, everyone came to me. Can we give you this money to do this? Or, everyone came to me. Everyone wanted to be a part of me, to sponsor me, to give me money. But this time, this is what it felt like. It felt like I walked around my area, because he helped me, and I couldn't do it without him. I walked around, and it felt like I was begging people. It felt like now I was going to ask them. But all I was asking, which was wrong in my head to think of it, because I thought I was asking them for money, but what I was going around and telling them was, actually, I'm going to give you a service. But I didn't see it like that. I didn't see my part of giving them. So I needed help for that. That helped me, and then we went from 2 classes to 5 classes. And now, yeah, man, it's pretty good. It's pumping. It's pumping. I'm alive. I live through my fighters now. I'm grateful to get the buzz of seeing them be champs and see them buzz from fighting. And we do, like, we start from 7 o'clock lunchtime, and then we start in the evenings. We do kids, teens, adults of all ages.
So let's just say a young Will, I'm sorry, Will, I'm going to have to see you with this one. A young Will came up to you and goes, hi, my name is Will, and I want to learn how to do kickboxing. What would be the first thing you tell this young Will if he wanted to do kickboxing?
Yeah, okay, so the first thing that I say to them is I just say, okay, don't have any plan to train. Just turn up to the gym and have a look, and I'll tell them to turn up to the class that they'll fit into, because I have 3 different levels of classes. And I always just tell them to turn up and have a look, because when I say when I say turn up to this class, this is your training class, it takes them a while to turn up to train, because I'd imagine, I don't know, but I imagine it's scary turning up to a kickboxing gym to jump straight in on your first day and start training with them. So I always tell them, just come and have a look at the class that you're going to jump into, because I trust my gym, I trust my students, I trust my trainers, and I say, look, you'll get a feeling, and then you'll see if you want to jump into it. And then they come a lot faster, and then they'll be there the next week. If I say come and turn up and train, it usually takes them about a month to 2 months to turn up to train. And I think that was wrong of me telling you. So I've changed my my first line to them. Yeah, so now I just say, just turn up to the class, have a look, see what the feeling is, see if you can do it, see if you like the feeling of the class, and then they're there a lot faster to training.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool, because I know that. And just hearing by explaining your journey, it's a journey on its own, and whoever's starting off in this journey, especially with sort of someone like yourself, it's a pretty daunting task. I myself, who is wanting to get into something like wrestling, and I had interviewed a guy named by the name of Tox Farley. He has a dojo down in Otahu, and Will's was pushing me sometimes, but he goes, you should go into joining the wrestling, and I'm like, I'm a bit wary about it. So I know that feeling where that young Will is that it does take time for them to get over that line to go do that training, and I appreciate your honesty for that. That's cool. Yeah,
so some people are different. If you come across the Jason Suttie, and you can see he's the fighter, he'll turn up because he's hungry, and he wants to fight. If you some people, then you just say, yeah, turn up to this class, and and then you'll meet the fighter like me that wants to jump into the fighter's class straight away. I say, no, you turn up to this class first. Just prove yourself by turning up first.
I have a couple more questions, and we'll wrap up from there. What is it that you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years in the future? What is the next big giant step for Jason Suttie?
5 or 10 years. I want to be retired in 10 years, 100%. My kids will still be young enough for me to enjoy them. So the gym will carry on. The gym will carry on, and I'll still be promoting. Just still promoting, and with the, I'll be here. I'll be in the fight scene. I'll be in the fight scene more, and I'll be in the fight scene more some way. Internationally, I hope before I finish this game, that I'll get our fighters on a international platform, rather than people having to dial into New Zealand to see, which means some of the world miss out. But I'd like to have an international platform for for fighters?
I'll back you up on that one. Going back to the glory days of the early 2000s, the K1 promotions, seeing New Zealand fighters go up there, and just the feel for it is wonderful. As a fan watching it, it will be awesome to see our New Zealand fighters stand up.
Definitely.
And then finally, I would like to, I always like leaving off my viewers with something that our guest has in their back pocket. So normally it's a quote or a saying that they have that they always carry in their heart. So do you have something like that to share to our viewers?
Well, you know what? I guess it changes from years to year, but my quote for the last few years is you get what you give. You get what you give in life, right? You want to get smarter, you study more. You want to get bigger, you eat more. You want to get thinner, you eat less. So mine is you get what you give in life. You put in, you get back. If you don't put in, you don't get back. And that's with everything. And you get what you give in life, but if you want to be special than the other person, you want to get to the top of your sport, then do more than what the other guy is doing. Because you want to get more out of it, right?
Right.
If I train the same as you, Monday to Friday, 6 to 7:30 every night, well, we're going to be at the same finish line. But if you want to get over that finish line faster than the person next to you, then wake up when he's asleep. Train more than him, that's the right thing. And then you will get more out of life, or you will get more out of the sport that you're giving because you're putting in more.
Let's put in that time and effort. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Thank you so much, man.
Cool, man.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Vinny.
Yeah. Thanks, James. And then once again, thank you so much for watching. A special episode for myself, it's awesome to interview family, and it's way, way awesome when you realize that your hero back in the days is your family. But I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Kia ora.